Welcome to The Explainer. We're all about breaking down the super complex systems that, shape our entire world.
I mean, it almost feels like magic, right? But it's not. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden science that brings order to all that movement. We're diving deep into the world of transportation engineering.
So, what is it? Really? Well, at its core, it's the field that looks at how we all get around. People, stuff, you name it, and asks a simple question. How can we make this better, faster, and a whole lot safer? It's literally the science of turning a potential traffic nightmare into a smooth, predictable flow.
All right, let's start our journey where most of us spend a lot of time, the highway. This is a place where engineering decisions, maybe made decades ago, can literally impact your safety in a split second.
And this isn't just some random what-if scenario. It's one of the biggest questions in highway design. And you better believe engineers have a way to calculate the answer. It's called Stopping Sight Distance, or SSD for short. Now, SSD isn't just about slamming on the brakes. It's actually a two-part deal. First, there's the distance you cover while your brain goes, "Whoa, obstacle," and tells your foot to move. That's the thinking distance. Then you have the actual braking distance, how far your car travels once you've hit the brakes. It's this super critical calculation that brings together your speed, your reaction time, and even the grip of your tires on the road. You know that feeling when you take a curve a little fast and you feel like you're being pushed to the outside of the car? Yeah, that's centrifugal force. Well, to stop you from flying off the road, engineers do something pretty clever. They bank the curve. They give it a slight tilt. It's called superelevation, and it basically uses gravity to help you stick to the road and fight that outward push. Seriously, without it, taking a simple exit ramp would be way more dangerous. And hey, even the road surface itself is a piece of engineering magic. You've got two main types. Flexible pavements, think asphalt, work in layers. They spread the weight of a car down through the layers into the ground. But then you've got rigid pavements, like concrete. They act more like one giant, tough slab that spreads the load out over a huge area. Which one do they use? Well, it all depends on stuff like how much traffic there is, the weather, and of course, money.
Okay, so let's leave the open road behind and head into the city. This is where things get really complicated, with cars and trucks all trying to cross, merge, and get where they're going. Managing traffic at an intersection, it's basically an art form that's built on a whole lot of science.
So anytime two cars could hit each other, engineers call that a conflict point. They break these down into three main types. You've got crossing, which is the most dangerous one. We're talking T-bone accidents. Then you have merging, where two lanes become one, and diverging, where one lane splits into two. Those last two are a lot safer because everyone's generally headed in the same direction.
And this is where design gets really cool. A rotary or a roundabout is just a brilliant solution. What does it do? It gets rid of that super dangerous crossing conflict completely. By making everyone go in the same direction and just merge, it makes the whole intersection way, way safer. It's pretty elegant, right?
Okay, but what about a regular old intersection with traffic lights? It's not just random, right? How in the world do they figure out the timing for the green, yellow, and red lights to keep traffic flowing and stop us from waiting forever? You guessed it, it is not guesswork. There's a method to the madness. A really common one is called Webster's method. It's this formula that looks at how much traffic is coming from every direction and calculates the absolute sweet spot, the perfect timing for the light cycle that reduces the wait time for everybody as much as possible. So, we've talked a lot about roads, but transportation engineering goes way beyond that. The exact same principles, safety, efficiency, physics, they shape how we travel by train and even by plane.
Let's take railways. A train weighs an incredible amount, so the track has to be perfectly supported. A key part of that is something called sleeper density. That's just the number of those wooden or concrete ties, the sleepers, you see under the rails. For a typical 13-meter piece of broad-gauge track, the magic number is often 18. And that's not just a random number, it's precisely calculated to give the track the support it needs so the rails don't bend or, break.
All right, let's switch gears to airports. You'd think a runway for, say, a Boeing 747 is just a set length, right? Well, not exactly. The basic length is really just the beginning. That length has to be tweaked and adjusted for the specific conditions of where the airport is actually built. Think about it. The higher up an airport is, or the hotter the day, the thinner the air. And thinner air means less oomph from the engines and less lift from the wings. So the plane needs more space to get up to takeoff speed. Same thing if the runway is on a slight uphill slope, the plane has to fight gravity.
So engineers have these exact correction factors they use to calculate how much longer the runway needs to be to make sure every takeoff is safe.
So when you put all this together, what does it mean? It means that the fact we can all move around so easily and safely, well, it's not an accident, not at all. It's the result of some really deliberate, careful, and honestly, mostly invisible engineering.
I mean, just think about what we've covered. We've seen how they figure out safe stopping distances, how they bank curves to keep us stable, how they design intersections to avoid crashes, how they time traffic lights to keep us moving, and even how they adjust runway lengths for the weather.
It's this incredible, unseen system of rules and physics and just super careful design that we all depend on every single day. Doesn't matter if you're just popping out to the store or flying halfway around the world.
So, here's a little challenge for you. The next time you're out and about, maybe stopped at a red light or taking a curve on the freeway, or even just watching a plane take off, take a second. Look around. Because your daily commute, it is an absolute marvel of applied science. What bits of hidden engineering are you going to spot now?